So what we're going to do is stretch our pec muscles. These tend to get really tight in lots of us when we tend to be a bit more rounded with our shoulders. But most of us tend to overuse our pecs a little bit. So we're going to stretch the pec major muscle. One of the main mistakes that I see, or two main mistakes that I see with this exercise, one of them is that people often stretch far too much in a sort of awkward way with their shoulder, and they're feeling a shoulder pinch rather than a pec stretch. So that's important, and I'm going to talk you through how to do that properly. The other thing that I see is everybody always stretching in just one part of the pec. The pec major is a big muscle. It covers the whole of this area. It's got fibers, different fibers that achieve different movements. So we do need to stretch them in slightly different ways. So what I want you to do is come up to a wall, and we're going to start at 90 degrees. So the forearm, so you can either be behind a wall like this, that's absolutely fine. Or for the purposes of demonstrating at the moment, I'm just going to rest my hand at the side of here. But you'll probably want to find a surface where you can rest the forearm up against the wall like this. So we'll start at 90 degrees. So the elbow's at 90 degrees flexion. We've also got 90 degrees going on here. And then what I want you to do is set your shoulder blade back and down. So I want you to bring the lowest part of your shoulder blade, try and tuck that into your back pocket. Okay, if you don't achieve that movement, what happens is this rides up and forward, and then you're going to come into the stretch and you're going to feel a pinch in your shoulder. So what I want you to do is bring the shoulder blade back and down, really exaggerate that. Be careful with this movement. When we bring the shoulder blade back and down, the temptation is often to really lift through the ribs and just arch the back. I still want you to use your core a little bit. I don't want you to just completely arch, because then that's not really stretching the muscle. If the muscle is covering this area, then as we introduce a stretch, if we just lift the other end of that muscle, like where the muscle attaches to, then we're not stretching the muscle. So we're going to come into this position. I want you to tuck your ribs a little bit, shoulder blade back and down, and then we're going to take a bit of a step forward. So I've just stepped forward about half a step maybe with my left leg. And you should feel a nice strong opening through the front of the chest. Now, if you've corrected the shoulder blade and you still feel a little bit of shoulder pinch rather than anything else, then just do the exercise with the straight arm. So pop your hand, rather than your forearm, we're going to use our hand against the wall, and then take a step forward. But I'm still roughly at 90 degrees with my shoulder, if you can see that. Take a step forward and you should feel a nice strong opening in through the chest. So the next thing we need to do is just find it at a slightly different angle. So you can do that with the elbow bent like this. You can just take the arm up a little bit higher, set the shoulder blade back and down, tuck the ribs, take a bit of a step forward, and you'll feel that stretch in a slightly different place. And again, if you just can't feel that in the right way, use the hand and a straight arm. And we're coming much higher this time. Rather than 90 degrees, we're coming up towards the top here. Step forward, lean in, keep the ribs tucked. And you'll really feel that. I want you to, if you're doing this with me now, in this position, I want you to arch and just really arch through the back. And you'll feel you completely lose the stretch, it's completely gone. So use your abdominals, make sure you're not arching your back, and then come into the stretch, and you'll really feel that strongly through the pec muscle.